السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. محاضرتنا بعنوان The Connective Tissue Part 1. The main objectives for this lecture include: describe the components of connective tissue, explain the mechanical, protection, and nutrition roles of connective tissue, recognize the types of ground substance and their functions, define the edema and explain its causes, classify the types of fibers, identify collagen fiber histologically, and list the types of collagen fibers and their distributions. Connective tissue characterized by the abundance of extracellular matrix that produce by its cells. Connective tissue differ from the epithelium by the presence of large amount of extracellular matrix. The connective tissue composed of cells and extracellular matrix. The extracellular matrix composed of ground substance and fibers. The connective tissue originates from the mesenchymal tissue, which also called mesenchyme. The mesenchyme derived from the middle layer of embryo that called mesoderm. Connective tissue composed of extracellular matrix and cells. Extracellular matrix composed of ground substance and fibers. There are different types of ground substance. These are glycosaminoglycan, protoglycan, and glycoproteins. Also, there is different type of fiber that found in connective tissue, include reticular fibers, elastic fibers, and collagen fibers. Also, the cells. There are different types of the cells that found in different types of connective tissue. These are fibroblast, macrophage, mast cell, plasma cell, mesenchymal cell, reticular cell, adipose cell, and leukocytes. The variation in proportion of these components form the basis of classification of connective tissue. إذن الاختلاف بأنواع الجراوند سبستانس وأنواع الفايبرز اللي تتواجد بالكونكتيف تيشو واختلاف أنواع السيلز هو اللي يعتمد عليه في تصنيف أنواع الكونكتيف tissue. The general functions of connective tissue include the mechanical or support role. The connective tissue provides the matrix that connects and binds the cells and other tissues in organs. إذا نلاحظ أن الكونكتيف tissue يساعد في ارتباط الخلايا والأنسجة المختلفة لتكوين الأورجانز. It forms the capsule of different organs. هو الكونكتيف tissue يكون مسؤول عن تكوين الكبسولز for different organs. أيضا نلاحظ act as stroma forming the structural framework within organs. يساعد في التكوين التركيب الهيكلي للأورجانز المختلفة. الدور الثاني للconnective tissue defense and protection role. It has role in defense mechanism against any foreign particles due to its content of phagocytic cells, which engulf inert particles and microorganisms that enter the body and destroy cellular debris. إذا نلاحظ الدور الثاني للconnective tissue هو في عملية الدفاع والحماية من خلال امتلاك phagocytic cells اللي ممكن أن تبتلع any foreign particle that enter the body. Also have plasma cells, which produce specific proteins called antibody that combine with foreign proteins which called antigen. إذن أيضا يأتي دورها بالحماية من خلال امتلاكها بلازما سيلز اللي تكون مسؤولة عن إنتاج الأجسام المضادة واللي ترتبط مع الأجسام الغريبة أو المايكرو أورجانيزم اللي نطلق عليها أنتيجين. Also, connective tissue protect the body by forming physical barrier to prevent the invasion of microorganisms that pass through the epithelium. أيضا نلاحظ أنه connective tissue نتيجة طبيعة الماتريكس يكون viscous فيعمل as physical barrier كحاجز يمنع من مرور المايكرو أورجانيزم أو يبطئ من مرورها من خلال الابيثيليوم. الدور الثالث للconnective tissue for nutrition role. The matrix of connective tissue serves as a medium through which nutrients and oxygen and metabolites waste are exchanged between the cells and their blood supply. إذا الوظيفة الثالثة هو نيوتريشن من خلال امتلاك الماتريكس اللي يحوي على blood vessels اللي ممكن من خلالها يتم تبادل النيوتريانس والميتابوليتيز والwaste between the cells and blood vessels. نتطرق إلى أول تركيب من تراكيب الكونكتيف تيشو اللي هي ground substance. The fiber and cells of connective tissue are embedded in amorphous material that called ground substance. The ground substance, it is amorphous, transparent, and gel-like material composed of mixture of macromolecules. These are glycosaminoglycan, protoglycan, and glycoprotein that differ in amount and type in different types of connective tissue. What are the functions of ground substance? The matrix of ground substance fills the space between the cells and the fiber of connective tissue. It is viscous, where act as lubricant and barrier to penetration of any foreign particle in the tissue. Also, act as a medium through which all nutrients and waste must pass between blood vessels and cells of connective tissue. إذا نلاحظ وظيفة ground substance نوعا ما تعمل كحاجز لمنع اختراق any foreign particle أو يعرقل من مروره. أيضا يعمل as a medium من خلاله تتم عملية تبادل nutrients waste between blood vessels and the cells of connective tissue. The ground substance composed mainly of three types of macromolecules. These are glycosaminoglycans, protoglycans, and glycoproteins. نتطرق إلى النوع الأول من أنواع الماكرومولكيولز اللي تشكل الجراوند سبستانس. glycosaminoglycan. They are linear, long, unbranched polysaccharide chains. It formed by repeating disaccharide units. It is composed of furonic acid and hexasamine. The major types of glycosaminoglycans, these are found in connective tissue: keratin sulfate, heparin sulfate, chondroitin sulfate, hyaluronic acid. What are the functions of glycosaminoglycan? They have lubrication function in connective tissue, in addition to structural function where binding of fibers. إذا نلاحظ الدور الرئيسي للجلايكوزامينوغلايكان هو يلعب دور بارتباط الفايبرز في connective tissue. Also act as medium by which nutrients, gases, and metabolites can be exchanged between blood and tissue cells. النوع الثاني من الماكرومولكيولز اللي تشكل ground substance هو protoglycans. They are large macromolecules which is composed of core of protein to which glycosaminoglycan molecules are covalently bounded. إذن هو يتألف من بروتين بالإضافة إلى جزيئات glycosaminoglycan. What are the functions of protoglycans in ground substance? They are responsible for the physical properties of the ground substance, where they are responsible for the gel state of extracellular matrix. إذن هو مسؤول عن حالة الفيسكوس or gel-like structure اللي يتميز بها ground substance. Also, they are aid in preventing the spread of microorganisms and their toxic material from the site of infection. نوعا ما يساهم في عرقلة انتشار النتيجة طبيعة أنه يكون فيسكس يمنع أو يعرقل من انتشار الميكرو أورجانيزم خلال الكونكتيف تيشو بالإضافة إلى السموم اللي تفرزها الميكرو أورجانيزم. الماكرومولكيولز أيضا اللي تشكل ground substance هو glycoprotein. They are large macromolecules, which is composed of polysaccharide protein complexes. The type of glycoprotein that found in ground substance include laminin, fibronectin, and chondronectin. What are the functions of glycoproteins? They have binding sites which facilitate the attachment of cells to the extracellular matrix. إذن النوع glycoprotein يساهم في ارتباط الخلايا إلى extracellular matrix. Tissue fluid. In connective tissue, in addition to the ground substance, there is a small quantity of a free fluid called interstitial or tissue fluid. إذن تعرفنا على تركيب الكونكتيف تيشو إنه يتألف من cells و extracellular matrix. Extracellular matrix composed of ground substance and fiber. لكن بالإضافة إلى هذه المكونات نلاحظ تواجد كميات قليلة من التيشو fluid in connective tissue. Tissue fluid contains small percentage of plasma proteins of low molecular weight that pass through capillary walls into connective tissue. إذا تركيبه إنه يتألف من بروتينات البلازما اللي تكون ذات وزن جزيئي قليل. Edema is defined that is abnormal accumulation of water fluid in the intercellular spaces of connective tissue. إذن هي عبارة عن تجمع غير طبيعي للواتر فلويد اللي موجود بكميات جدا قليلة بالحالة الطبيعية في المسافات بين الكونكتيف tissue. Under normal condition, the water passing through the blood capillary wall into the surrounding connective tissue, then return back into the blood capillary. في الحالة الطبيعية الواتر اللي موجود بالبلاد إنه يعبر من خلال الوول into the surrounding connective tissue ويرجع بالتساوي إلى الداخل حيث هناك equilibrium between the water that exists from the blood vessels to entering the intercellular space and the water that leaving the intercellular space of connective tissue. إذن هناك تساوي أو تعادل بين كمية الواتر الداخل الكونكتيف تيشو والخارجة الكونكتيف تيشو. The blood bring the nutrients to the connective tissue, which include various nutrients, and get rid metabolic waste away from the tissue, return to the blood. There are two forces that affect on the water: hydrostatic pressure and osmotic pressure. Hydrostatic pressure of the blood, which forces water out across the capillary wall into the connective tissue. إذا hydrostatic pressure هو اللي يساهم بدفع الواتر من خلال الwall of blood vessels إلى الconnective tissue, while osmotic pressure of the blood, which return back of the water into the capillary. بينما الأوزماتيك بريشر هو اللي يساهم بدفع الواتر من الكونكتيف تيشو إلى blood vessels. In several pathologic conditions, the quantity of tissue fluid increase within connective tissue to causing edema. إذن بالحالات المرضية زيادة التيشو فلويد بالكونكتيف تيشو هو اللي يسبب الأديمة. وتعرف هذه الحالة إنه large the space between the components of connective tissue caused by the increase in the liquid between the component of the connective tissue. إذا تعرف إن هي عبارة عن زيادة المسافة بين مكونات الconnective tissue واللي سببها هي زيادة liquid between these components of connective tissue. What is responsible for the gel state of connective tissue matrix? This question for you. Connective tissue fibers are formed by proteins that polymerize into elongated structure. There are three types of fibers. These are collagen fibers, elastic fibers, and reticular fibers. These are distinguished by their appearance, biochemical and mechanical properties. These fibers distributed in variable proportion among different types of connective tissue. Collagen fibers, also called white fibers, they consist of collagen protein. It is diameter less than 10 micrometer in diameter. These fibers are most widely distributed in connective tissue, were found nearly in all types of connective tissue. What's the character feature of collagen fibers? The collagen fibers appear as straight or slightly wavy, not branched, usually run in bundles. ومثل ما نلاحظ في الصورة this collagen fibers نلاحظها usually found in bundle. These bundle not branch, run, straight or slightly wavy. Not branch, found in bundles. هذه هي الكولاجين fibers. Within bundle, the collagen fibers are held together by small amount of mucoprotein. إذا ترتبط الفايبرز مع بعضها بالبندل بوجود كمية من الميوكوبروتين. This is structure of fiber. هذا هو الفايبر collagen fiber الواحد. Each fiber consists of parallel aggregation of thinner fibril. إذن الفايبر هو عبارة عن مجموعة من الفيبرلز. هذه هي الفيبرل which is composed of microfibril. إذن كل فيبرل هو عبارة عن مجموعة من المايكروفيبرل. Each microfibril composed of a smaller unit called tropocollagen molecules. إذا مثل ما نلاحظ each molecule composed of 3 polypeptide chain called alpha chain that arrange in triple helix اللي الشكل لي tropocollagen molecules. The collagen are flexible, inelastic, and have tensile strength. So, the collagen fiber confer both flexibility and strength to the tissue. إذن وين ما نوجد الكولاجين فايبر بالتشو راح يعطي المرونة والقوة لهذا التشو. There are different types of collagen which have been identified and distinguished by their composition, morphologic characteristics, distribution, and function. Collagen type 1, that is most common type and wide separate distribution in connective tissue. It forms thick fiber that organize into bundle. إذن هذا النوع دائما يكون بشكل thick fiber اللي تترتب بشكل bundle. This type found in tendon, bone, dermis of the skin, and organ capsule. Collagen type 2, it found as fine fibrils and not form fiber, present in hair and cartilage and elastic cartilage. Collagen type 3, it occurs as thin fiber that arrange in loose network. هذا الشكل يكون بشكل thin fibers اللي يترتب بشكل شبكة مفككة. This found in reticular connective tissue, smooth muscle, spleen, and blood vessels. Collagen type 4, it forms meshwork of procollagen molecules that constitute the structural components of basal lamina. Collagen type 5, it forms very thin fibrils that found in association with type 1 collagen and in placenta. هذا النوع يكون يتواجد مع collagen type 1 وموجود في المشيمة. Collagen type 6, it is form a small aggregation known as anchoring fibrils. تكون مثل الكلابات شكلها that bind the basal lamina to the underlying connective tissue. The collagen synthesis by cells called fibroblasts, in addition to the osteoblasts and chondroblasts. إذن هذه الخلايا مسؤولة عن تصنيع الكولاجين fibers. Fibroblasts synthesize tropocollagen molecules, which compose of 3 polypeptide chains that arrange in a triple helix. Then, these tropocollagen molecules aggregate into microfibrils subunits, which are packed together to form fibrils. The pair are aggregated of fibrils to form collagen fibers. Then, the fibers are arranged into bundles. Thank you for listening.